Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by
Infinity of Memphis has moved to Germantown Road, just half-mile north of Wolf Chase Galleria, and is proud to support WKNO for its quality broadcasting and service to our community. Quality and service? No wonder Infinity of Memphis feels at home on WKNO.
the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Today on Sports Files, we'll hear from members of the Memphis Grizzlies as training camp got underway this week. And joining me in studio, two of the riders participating in the 5th annual Ride to Rosemary charity race. Last year on Sports Files, we introduced you to the Ride to Rosemary charity race, which raises money and awareness for cancer research at the Wings Cancer Foundation. Today, 30 riders took off from downtown Memphis in the 5th annual event, with once again Rosemary, Florida, the destination. It's a 5-day, 525-mile trek, which is not only a physically demanding ride for these cyclists, but mentally demanding as well. The common theme among the 30 riders is that cancer has affected their lives in one way or another. Before these talented riders hit the road for their grueling yet rewarding trip, I had a chance to sit down with two of the participants and talk with them about the challenges. Joining me was veteran rider Chuck Bolton, making his 4th ride to Rosemary, and rookie Pete Sully, who is originally from London, England, but has lived in Memphis for the last 20 years. A tremendous challenge, a worthwhile cause, and 30 riders willing to make a statement. The Ride to Rosemary is next on Sports Files. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you so much for spending some time with me.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Grateful.
Chuck, let me begin with you. You're a veteran. You're one of the founders. You've been there before. What advice do you have for the rookie over here, Pete?
Get ready. Get ready. No, it is. You never know what to expect on an adventure. There'll be times that it's dark and you'll want to quit. But it is. We always remember while we're riding, and that's for the patients. So.
Yeah, Pete, why has it touched you so much that you want to get involved with this?
Well, I lost my mother back in 2000, and you know, you always think, what could I do? Could I make a difference? Could I help some way? And then when Chuck and a few of the guys came to me, I thought, what a lovely opportunity to kind of show some support and do something I love to do, and have a challenge like this is just it's a lovely thing.
Pete, by the way, I love your Southern accent.
Thank you.
Chuck, obviously, you've been touched and affected a number of ways through this dreaded disease of cancer, and most recently dealing with that right now with your wife.
Yeah. You know, my wife lost her mother about 11 years ago, and then my mother's been fighting small cell lung cancer for 10 years. And my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. She has 2 different kinds of cancer. About a month ago, and is going through that uncertainty, that fear, that hope, all of that. And we think we need a little perseverance riding a bike 530 miles. It's hard, but it's really nothing what these patients go through.
What reward, other than raising awareness, raising money, you guys put in your own money for this that goes directly to the Wings Cancer Foundation to help, again, fight this dreaded disease. But what do you get out of it aside from that?
I was going through a tough time in my life when we started this 5 years ago. And I told a couple of my friends on Wolf River Racing that I was going to ride my bike to Rosemary. And they said, I'm going with you. And the brotherhood that I got, that I felt like I was going through a wilderness in my life, but I wasn't alone, is incredibly encouraging for anybody, particularly a man. So it's really a spiritual adventure for us, that we are men that get off the grid and we get to laugh, we get to struggle and have fun together. It's almost like we get to be boys again.
Pete, what are you expecting to get out of this?
The main thing is the challenge, and also to meet, have new friends. And anytime you're thrown into a situation like this, like Chuck was saying, you get to a place where it's kind of, can I make it? Will I make it? You know, and there'll be someone giving a hand, or, you know, it might be me, it might be someone giving me a hand. You never know. And just to have that kind of challenge, to say, you've done it. I've never done 2 centuries back to back, and to do 5 days of, you know, a century is an achievement. So it'll make me feel good just getting down to the beach and knowing we've made it as a group. It's a nice feeling. Yeah.
There's feeling of euphoria, isn't it?
There's tears. There is, especially for the newcomers, when they get there, and the families, the kids, if they have the privilege of being down there at the beach when we come in, it's an emotional time.
Chuck, you're an individual on an individual bike, but it is also a team. It's a bunch of you guys. There's 30. You probably could have more if you would like that, but that seems to be the number. Talk about that you lean on each other, help you guys all get through this thing safely and reach Rosemary.
Well, I think that's part of it. We had Chris West last year, who was an Army Ranger. He had throat cancer, half his tongue, you know, had been cut out through surgery. Very difficult for him because he couldn't really metabolize food, nutrition, and we burn 8,000 to 9,000 calories a day. So it was really tough for him, but we made it our goal to get him through, and he persevered. And we weren't going to let him quit. And, you know, there's times we would literally have our hand on his back getting him up hills. And the courage that he had, you know, brought us inspiration. And so it's not a race. It is a very hard ride that we all want to complete together.
Pete, how much training did you have to put into, and I'm sure you leaned on Chuck and other guys to ask them what they do to prepare. What's it been like to prepare for this race?
Well, I would say probably 3/4 of the guys that are doing this are actually riders, you know, so we ride either on race teams or, you know, ride regularly. So, you know, I didn't have to vamp it up that much more. Just, I would say, instead of doing maybe, you know, 80 miles a week, we might be doing like 150 miles a week or something like that.
It's almost double though.
Yeah. Just to vamp it up, just so, you know, you're kind of ready. But as far as, and you've got to do the odd century here and there just to sort of say, yeah, we can do a century. We did a training ride down to Jackson, I guess 2 or 3 weeks ago, and went to one of the clinics down there. And we had all the ladies outside clapping as we came in. It was really nice. And that was a good training ride because we ended up, I think a few of us ended up with, you know, over 100 miles. So it was really good. And
this year it's different because you're leaving Memphis along with the riders for the ride to fight on. So it's a combination of things. Tell me about that.
Right. That's another ride that benefits cancer patients at the West Clinic. And we'll be leaving from the FedEx Forum on Saturday all together. And that ride has a multiple different routes, a 100-mile route to, I think, a 28-mile route. But we're all in it together to bring out awareness and raise funds. I mean, we are so grateful to our sponsors like FedEx, International Paper, and what the Peddler has done to help us is incredible. And I got to throw this out because Ernie at Hog Wild, he has some cooks that go with us, and they do our lunch and our dinners. We can't do this kind of a ride without nutrition. And so we're very, very grateful to them.
Also, I mentioned earlier, financially, yes, you're raising awareness, you're raising money, but you guys are putting your money where your mouth is. I mean, you're spending a lot of money. It's not cheap to be able to do this, to go out there and to be a participant in this ride. Tell me about that, Pete.
Yeah, I think what happens is, you know, everyone's busy. Everyone in this ride is busy, and you look at it and you say, well, I'd love to do that, but I don't know if I can take the time off, don't know if I can do it, you know, the money aspect, losing work or whatever you might be doing. But when you actually physically make that decision, it feels fantastic. You know, you go, God, you know, I should do much more of this, you know. That's how I've been feeling.
Chuck, when you get to Rosemary, I would imagine the bike goes down, you run over to the water, you dip your toes in the water. What's that feeling like to somebody who's never done that? And even Pete, a great rider as he is, great cyclist as he is, he'll be experiencing that for the first time when you get there on the 7th of October.
At 3:30, we'll be there, hopefully.
Explain this to us.
You know, we ride in, and last year we had 250, 300 people at the town center at Rosemary, riding down the cobblestones. And it's just like, and that's what an adventure is to me. It's like, can I really make this somewhere? And when you finally get there and you're there with the other men that rode with you, there's a feeling of accomplishment that really brings out a lot of self-respect. There's this feeling of euphoria, all those kind of endorphins that you're going, I cannot believe I did that. And honestly, a lot of times you go, you say, I'll never do it again, but the next day you're going, I can't wait for it next year. And because it is that feeling like I cannot believe what I can accomplish. And most of us don't realize what we can accomplish if we put our minds to it.
How much of it, though, is because you are riding for a cause, but not just a cause in general terms, but specific people that you know that you loved that are affected by cancer? I would imagine that's as physically worn out as you probably will be, and you've been, Chuck, because you've done it. Pete, I would imagine that just continues to push you on, right?
Yeah, well, we've all done other rides, whether that might be a century, and it might have been in awful conditions, raining, cold. Last year I did a century ride with a fellow teammate, and he wanted to stop. And I thought, well, that'd be the easy thing to do. Let's just stop. It's like we've come in 30 miles, it's cold, it's miserable, I'm soaking wet. But the cause was for cancer. So we said, well, and I just made then and there, right? I said, let's do it. I'm going. And I was on my own, and he said, okay. So we ended up riding it, and we were one of the few that actually did it that day because it was miserable. And it was literally, you think about people you've lost and people who fight cancer, you go, if they can do it, if they can get through this kind of battle, then this is nothing,
Each morning we circle up and we'll have people talk about stories. Mr. Tillmans, who was on your show last year, and Dr. Todd Tillmans will talk about Sally, who lost the battle to cancer last year. And we talk about that. And what it inspires us, it reminds us of the pain that people go through in their treatment, the uncertainty of outcomes. And it really does motivate us because the pain that we're going through is temporary and it's for that day. And there is a purpose to it, to your point, and it really does motivate us each day.
How can people get involved, whether it's money, whether it's helping you guys on the ride? What do they need to do?
There's a Facebook page, Ride to Rosemary, and if you go onto that, they'll have a link if they want to donate to an individual that's riding for the cause, or they can just directly to the Wings Foundation. But there's a link on that, Ride to Rosemary on Facebook, and it's just a very quick and simple procedure.
Yeah, and again, to your point, 100% of the funds that they donate go directly to the wellness and well-being, nutrition for the patients. We underwrite all of our costs for this trip.
Chuck, I would imagine the folks at Wings Cancer Foundation, people that are involved directly, just can't say enough about you guys, what you do.
We're grateful. They have loved 3 of my family members, and I'm very grateful for what they've done.
A lot of self-reflection, I would imagine, on the ride as well.
Yeah, yep.
To think back what's going on, what's been happening with your lives, what's been happening with your family members. Real quick, about a minute to go here, Chuck. What's the breakdown? 5 days of riding. Where do you go from where to where to where?
Right, we go from Memphis to Tupelo, Tupelo to Tuscaloosa, which is our longest day, about 130-something miles. Tuscaloosa to Selma, Alabama, then Selma, Alabama to Andalusia, and then we ride into Rosemary Beach, Florida.
Amazing. And as you said, a lot of people waiting for you there. It becomes an event for that area, right?
It is. It's a big event for them.
Well, outstanding. It's been 5 years. I know this is going to go on hopefully forever. Yeah. We knock on wood, because what you guys are doing, not only the grueling trip, physically demanding and mentally demanding on your part, but what you're doing for cancer, raising awareness, raising money, needs to be saluted. Chuck, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Pete, I can't reach you here for the handshake. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Best of luck, Rook.
Thank you.
On your first trip.
I'll give you an update.
Be safe. Enjoy yourselves, guys, and thanks again for what you do. That's Chuck Bolton. That's Pete Sully. The Ride to Rosemary. We'll take a break. Overtime is next. Last season, the Memphis Grizzlies made a solid run in the playoffs, advancing to the Western Conference semifinals before falling to the eventual NBA champion Golden State Warriors 4-2. The Grizzlies actually led the series 2-1, but injuries coupled with an explosive Warriors offense was a bad recipe for the good guys. Now, over the summer, the Grizzlies made some critical moves, most importantly, re-upping with All-Star center Marc Gasol for 5 years, trading for Matt Barnes, and signing free agent big man Brandon Wright. The team returns home today after holding training camp at Cal Santa Barbara this past week. And their preseason opener is this Tuesday when they host the Houston Rockets. Now, before the Grizz headed west, they held their annual media day, and we were there.
Signing Mark was a big deal for us. Always keep your fingers crossed, and wild things can happen. We're confident that he was going to stay with us, but you still don't know until they sign. So I thought we put the hay in the barn pretty quickly early in the summer, so you kind of have a good idea of what you're looking at by getting Matt Barnes and Brandon Wright. Not in August, but early in July. So you had a good idea of what your team might look like. I don't know that I have anything figured out yet, but I think training camp is going to be when I say training camp, I look at the entire month of October as training camp, not just this week or these 5 days that we're out in California. So, it's going to be interesting to see who can play with who. There's competition for spots. That's a good thing. So if guys aren't getting back on defense or we're not making the extra pass, we can plug a different guy in.
Well, it's a little too early to tell what the roles of the young guys would be. We just hope to get some contribution out of them and that they step up their play, and you can tell that they've gotten better, that they have a greater understanding of the NBA, not only what it takes to succeed individually, but how to fit their skills into our team concept. And you need some younger players to come along over the course of time with an NBA team. And so we're one of the most experienced teams in the league. But we're hoping that some of these young guys can come in and provide a jolt from time to time. If they get in the rotation, great. Even if they don't get in at a consistent, daily game rotation, if they can come in from time to time and provide a pick-me-up, like, for example, Russ Smith did in that Golden State game, the last regular season game out there when we about pulled off that miraculous comeback. He had 16 points in 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. So you look for them to hopefully, again, come along, and we see a little more out of them this year, and that they contribute and help us win some games.
I think that they have such a different skill set, what they bring to our team. Russ plays like a mini Russell Westbrook. This is everywhere. Does never gets tired. Does a bunch of plays. And then and Jordan and the way he can score and make plays, and Jarnell with his strength, and JaMychal. I mean, it's just, you can go down the list of guys who we feel have gotten a lot better over the summer and can really add something. It's very interesting to know that we've basically grown up in this league together and had our successes together, had our failures together. I mean, it's been a complete roller coaster for all of us, and we've been through it all together. So I think that's what makes us so comfortable around each other, because we know we've seen each other, everybody at their worst and everybody at their best, and see how we handle success, see how we handle failure. So I mean, it's easy to be alongside of these guys.
I think you guys already know how I look at this town. I've been here, quite a long time now, and this is my season as a professional. I got here when I was 15 years old or 16, so you can only imagine what it feels like. And now my mind, the only thing is try to bring a ring, honestly. And I understand, I'm not a guy to just say, no, we're going to win a ring. I'm saying my goal every day is try to do everything in my hands to try to do that, accomplish that. And then, I don't know how it's going to go. I can't tell you that, but I know what's on my mind.
Going to battle with these guys and knowing that these guys, got your back and we play for each other, and we've been through it and been through the war. So it's real important. I think going to camp, we know that, and know what we got to do and what we got to work on and what we got to come out and do. I still think about that game, them last couple games of the playoffs last year. So it's definitely important to us, and that's what we're here for, to get a ring. I think, adding Matt gives that 3-point shot at consistency and that grit and grind attitude and that defensive we need. And Brandon give us that stretch forward, run the court, bring a lot of athleticism. So them guys going to help us a lot.
More so than anything else, I feel good about the work that I put in this summer. It started right after the season for me. Very little time off, no vacations. It didn't interest me this summer because in my mind, I knew what I had to get myself prepared for. So I was willing to go above and beyond just to kind of get in gear. So I think that's what I'm excited about, and that's what I feel more proud about is just the final result. You know, I wasn't one to document it through anything. You know, video, just not my thing. I'd rather prove it by showing you what I can do instead of saying, hey, guess what I've been doing. You know, it's just not my thing. So I feel great, positive attitude, and I'm just ready to go push these guys.
I'm excited about playing alongside with Matt Barnes. Looking forward to that. I've been battling him for so long. And just to know that I got another Warrior on the side of me, that's going to be fun. And just being back with the guys, you know, from last year. You know, like I said, we got some unfinished business. We had those guys, the Warriors, up 2-1. And like I say, injury, and those guys picked it up. You know, they won it, but the Warriors are the team to look at, and we got to get that feeling out of our mouth that we had last year. Yeah, I ain't no fortune teller. I can't tell you that. I just know we are working in progress. You know, we still working. We still trying to find, you know, the cracks to, you know, just win it all. Obviously, we came short a few times, but I feel we right there, and we got the right guidance. We got the right support system behind us. It's just, you know, we just got to get it together.
Is this the year?
This is the year. This is the year of the Bear.
Hey, great news for the University of Memphis as shovels were thrust into the ground recently at the Park Avenue campus. Groundbreaking for the new men's basketball practice and training facility took place. It's part of a $40 million capital campaign to update the men's basketball and football practice facilities. Head coach Josh Pastner, athletics director Tom Bowen, and University President Dr. David Rudd were among the speakers.
We're here today to make the ceremonial launch and groundbreaking of the basketball practice facility. Back in September of 2013, when we launched this campaign, we launched to finish 2 facilities that were part of capital projects that we had put together in a strategic master plan. These facilities were built over the last 4 years, and now the final 2 pieces are the men's basketball practice facility and Hall of Champions and the football indoor facility, which in about another month, we will be having another great ceremony to talk about that project as well. The new basketball facility will be 58,000 square feet right here where we're standing in this tent. The entrance will include a 5,500 square foot Hall of Traditions and public museum. The museum designed to incorporate the latest designs and technology and to honor the rich tradition of Tiger basketball and allow the Memphis community to shape its amazing and embrace the amazing history for generations to come. The student athlete development component of the practice facility will include 3 full courts, a nutritional center, a locker room, a training room, an academic support center, and offices for all of our coaching staff. It is with great honor that we start today to build forward. This has been an exciting time at the University of Memphis, last night being one of them, and I'm a little tired, so I apologize if my voice is harassing, and I'm a little shaky. It was a great moment. This is also another great moment. And one of the things that inspires my coaches and my student athletes in our university is the phenomenal leadership that's here. And I want to bring that leadership forward to say a few words on the university's behalf, because I'm honored to serve as its athletic director and serve President Dr. M. David Rudd. David, please come up to the floor.
What a pleasure to be here today and to have this opportunity. Let me thank all of you for joining us in this celebration. Certainly a great day. I want to take a moment and I want to thank Bill and Nancy Laurie for their remarkable generosity. This gift not only positions us to compete at the highest levels, but will arguably be among the finest facilities in the country. And I'm going to quote our own coach, Pastner, that this will be the finest facility in the country. This is a facility that not only prepares our current student athletes for life both on and off the court, but will feature a Hall of Fame that recognizes and honors the rich tradition that is Memphis basketball. And we have a proud, rich tradition and are excited about the chance not just to develop new athletes, but to honor and recognize the past.
I just want to say a sincere thank you to, obviously, to Tom,
my boss and President Rudd, my boss, for them, just for the visionary that they both have to be able to do what we need to do to compete at the highest level of competitive excellence. And obviously, there can't be enough of thank yous to Bill and his family and for what they've done, and to be able to put us in a map where once this thing is officially built and finished, it will be the best facility in the country. And I've said that from day one, absolutely. Hands down, the best in the country.
And that'll do it for today's show. Remember, you can see any of our previous shows by simply going to our website, WKNO.org, or checking us out on YouTube. Have yourself a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Hard hats, your name's on the back of the hard hats, and let's get this thing going. The Big Dig 2015.
Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by
Infiniti of Memphis has moved to Germantown Road, just half-mile north of Wolf Chase Galleria, and is proud to support WKNO for its quality broadcasting and service to our community. Quality and service? No wonder Infiniti of Memphis feels at home on WKNO.